Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some entitled parent stories and our first story of the day is by PaintedSequoia. Mama Karen wanted me to turn off my TV when her family walks by my apartment because her kid is grounded. I just moved into an apartment last week. So far, everyone I have met in passing has been nice. No one has been too loud at unreasonable hours, arguing with each other, stealing parking spaces, and other typical shared space craziness. Yet, at least. Only been here a week. I did, however, encounter a Mama Karen and her 6-ish-year-old son. My apartment is one of those half-in-the-ground units with 2 other floors on top. As such, the top of my patio wall is level to the walking path. If I have my blinds open, you can easily see into my living room and kitchen. This honestly doesn't bother me. The weather is finally really nice here, so after work yesterday, I opened my patio sliding door and blinds to let the cooler air in while playing some Minecraft. After a while, I could hear a couple women talking outside a few units down. Just general chit-chat. I also heard a smaller kid running around, messing with gravel along the pathways and generally just being a bored kid while mommy talked with her friend. Really no big deal at all. Then it happened. I heard one of the women call for the kid. Jason? Jason? Jason, get over here. Jason. Fake name for protection. I looked up to see the kid standing on the path next to my unit transfixed on the TV. Uh-oh, he didn't answer quick enough. Mama Karen came stomping over to him and jerked his arm to force him to look at her while she yelled in his face about answering her and to not watch TV, especially someone else's. I thought the way she was acting was overkill, but let it be. He's not my kid and I'm not a parent at all, just to my fur babies, 2 cats. I did pay attention for if things got worse to jump in, but didn't stare. I only looked over when she called out to me to apologize for her son. Note, not for her behavior. I said it was fine. Mama Karen took him back over to her friend and they continued talking. Eventually, the kid started playing around near them again. Soon, he was back over at my patio looking in watching me play. Soon after that, I hear Mama Karen yell at him again. This time, he flinched. Hard, it broke my heart to see the effects of abuse in action, and was just frozen staring at her. This time, I jumped up and went to my patio door. She was already at him by then and was yelling at him again. I tried to interject to say I truly didn't mind that he was watching me play. This is where the Karen aspect comes in. She turned to me sickly sweet, the demon gone for the moment, and kindly explained that dear Jason was grounded and not allowed to even look at a TV. I said a bummer, dude, to him in sympathy. She didn't like that I addressed him and not her. I also don't think she liked that I showed him sympathy instead of instantly taking her side, even though I had no idea why he was punished in the first place. I wouldn't doubt it if it was some asinine, non-existent reason on her part, or her being bothered by normal child behaviors. She then asked me something that blew my mind. Can you please shut off your TV when we're out here? We are usually out here for some outside time for an hour a day. Or you can just shut your window and blinds. Not gonna lie, the people pleaser I have been raised to be almost said, "Oh sure, no problem," and was going to do it. Then I stopped myself thinking, what? Telling me what to do in my house? I'm trying to have a shinier spine. I told her no, I won't. Oh boy, that sure as heck is her trigger word. I thought she was going to reach in and jerk me around and yell at me like I was her child. The look was so instantly pissed off. She again explained the situation, fully expecting me to cooperate this time. She laid out her case. She made the demand again. Not a faux question this time. I again told her no. I came home to relax, and this is how I do it. She asked me if I have kids. Uh-oh. I'm solidly child-free, and according to the laws of parenting, my thoughts and opinions are completely and instantly invalid unless I pop out at least one entire, mostly full-term crotch spawn. I told her no, and she smirked. I thought so. I was ready for a lecture on how to handle kids properly or something, but she just jerked her son away back towards the other woman, who I assumed was still there. She said something as she went, but I didn't really hear it, so I don't know if it was to me, her son, or her friend. Maybe even grumbling to herself. I hadn't seen those two before yesterday, but apparently they are out there for at least 1 hour daily around that time. There's a pool, a few barbecue pits, and a grassy area outside my unit in between the surrounding units and buildings. I get to see all the good doggos walk by, and it makes my day. I really hope she doesn't cause issues for me. I just want to live there and not be bothered. I'm not going to help her parent her child. No one else in the whole world should be expected to except her. I just don't get how she thinks she can ask a total stranger to turn off the TV in their home because she's punishing her child in hers. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. I'm proud of myself for standing my ground, as brief as the encounter was. I worry for the kid though. So let me ask you guys, if you saw this mom and it was your house and you had the blinds open or whatnot enjoying the breeze, and this goes down and she asks you to either turn off your TV or close the blinds, do you think that's a ridiculous ask and would you do it or not? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Usagi Tsukino 0703, entitled Child Wants My Custom Knee Brace. Okay, so I walk with a cane and have an expensive hinged knee brace. It's a Bragg if you want to look it up for pricing. They range, but mine is well over $400. If I don't wear it, my knee buckles backwards and I fall on my face. I also use a cane when I walk and have several other health issues. I was at Meijer walking around looking at toys last November for my kids for Christmas. I am very pregnant and my doctor warned me to avoid stress and that the baby will probably be a month early. So I'm taking it easy, walking slow, taking breaks and relaxing often. I get to the toy cars and I'm looking through them looking for ones my kid doesn't have for stocking stuffers when I feel something touch my leg. I look behind me and spoiled child looks up and smiles at me. I smile back and the following happens. Hello, it's not polite to touch other people's things. Can you not touch my brace please? Thank you. Spoiled child says, but I want it. Give it to me. No, I can't walk without it. You can't have it, and it's not your size anyway. It's made for an adult. I don't care. Give it to me or I'll tell my mommy. Okay, that's fine. You can tell your mom. You cannot have it, sweetheart. At this point, the kid wanders away, and I assume that when the kid says they wanted my knee brace, they'd get in trouble. I can remember wondering how that convo would go for that child and parent. I start picking through the cars and find a couple my son doesn't have and put them in my cart and start looking at the track sets they have and check their pricing against Amazon's pricing. I'm scrolling through my phone when I can feel and hear the Velcro being pulled apart on my brace. I pull my leg up and turn around and see the kid sitting there. Excuse me, I told you no, you cannot have or touch my brace. Mom said I could just take it because you're faking. I'm not faking anything. You need to go back to your mom now. Mommy! The kid is crying, shrieking, and causing a huge scene, screaming for their mother and grabbing at my brace, which is making me unbalanced. I can feel my heart rate going up and I'm starting to worry about falling and hurting my baby. Entitled mother says, "What's the problem here?" Your child is asking for my brace. I told them no and they try to take it off me. Well, just give it to him then. I don't see what the big deal is. You can buy another. My insurance only covers new ones every 5 years. I can't get another one. If your son wants a knee brace, you need to tell him he can't have mine. Well, he can have yours. Take it off and give it to me. The entitled mother steps forward and bends over and starts to try to undo my brace. I kick her in the chest away from me and she falls on her butt. It wasn't a hard kick since it was my bad side, but enough to know I mean business. No, help! Don't touch me! You kicked me! You kicked me! Someone call the police! I will have you arrested for this! Now a crowd is forming and I'm crying and my brace is half undone around my leg and sagging, giving zero support. I pull my cane out of the cart and use it to support myself while management is asking if I'm okay and I'm nodding while entitled mother is shrieking still at everyone. They walk me to the shoe department to separate us and I sit on a bench and calm down. The next thing I know, a cop is asking me for my brace I stole. I explained I didn't steal it, that it's mine and some woman and her child were trying to steal it off my leg. The officers ask for proof it's mine, so I pull up recent photos of me getting it fitted and walking with it at the doctor's office, as well as my chart where I have the letter stored saying insurance would cover it completely. He asked me to take it off since she's claiming it's damaged so he can inspect it. I let him and he informs me that there's a piece missing. I look at it and sure enough, a piece is missing. I start to cry again and realize I've broken my brace and I won't get another for 5 years. He asks if it was broken before. I said no, it must have been broken when I kicked entitled mother off of me while she was trying to steal it. The officer excuses himself and I'm sitting there with employees. After a while, he comes back and gives me a case number and informs me he's arresting the entitled mother for destruction of medical equipment and attacking a disabled person. I'm in shock, but he says he watched the security camera and knows I'm telling the truth and that she attacked me and I defended myself. I ended up going into labor that night from the stress and had to stay on an IV drip for 3 days in the hospital to get it to stop. I go home and my insurance billed her for a new brace. She refused to pay until my friend used his letterhead at a lawyer's office to inform her if she didn't pay that he would be taking her to court for it. I had my baby early, but not because of this event, thank God. She's 10 months old now, October 2020, and my husband brought it up today and asked me to post it here. How is this entitled mother going to think that anybody would believe that the pregnant woman with a knee brace is the one that's the assailant? How is a pregnant woman saying that they need a knee brace being the one that's going to try and steal it? What? I think the entitled mother deserved being taken to court. It's a shame she didn't. And our final story of the day is by ASilverRook. Karen decides that she and her son are more important than the rules of competitive chess. Back in the late summer of 2019, I was invited to work as an assistant tournament director at a small annual chess tournament which was held entirely for charity. I had played in the tournament in 2017 and 2018, but without many high-rated players intending to play, I decided to make my donation to the cause and help run the event instead given that option. This was a junior tournament, which meant every player was a kid or teenager. I was 16 at the time, but the rest of the tournament staff were all adults. I also had some experience as an assistant tournament director at a local club. And the organizers did the exact thing which causes way too many problems in any competitive chess. They decided to allow spectators in the tournament hall. Anyone who knows anything about competitive chess would tell you that talking between two players is a big no-no, and that any chatting between players and spectators is a cardinal sin. I've seen spectators be thrown out for quietly murmuring among themselves, as they should be. Chess is a silent game, and spectators have no right to violate the rules which the players must abide by. The tournament was split into 2 sections, the advanced section and the beginner section based on rating. Every chess player has a rating based on their performances. The first time I took any notice of the Karen involved in this story is when she was registering her son to the tournament. When she was informed that his rating suggested that he would be best fit to play in the beginners section, chess tournaments usually allow you to play sections above your rating but not below your rating, she almost threw a fit. "My son is not some novice, he will play in the advanced section." She then turned away and grumbled something about how rude the suggestion was. The tournament director was maybe one of the most helpful and polite people who I've ever met in the chess world. A true inspiration, by the way. So Karen's son was signed up for the advanced section. The director was much more experienced than I was, and while the expectation was that players in the advanced section would be very aware of the rules, such an expectation was not held for the beginners section, which for that reason would mean directing the beginners section would be much more of a challenge. With each section in one of 2 rooms and 2 tournament directors, I was given the advanced room and Karen with it. I am a huge stickler for rules in chess, so I was watching the games and the spectators like a hawk. It had already been made very clear that I had the authority to settle any disputes and deal penalties as was necessary. Warning, loss of clock time, or forfeiture in extreme cases. Ejection of players I would have to consult the chief tournament director for. So round 1 started and I'm watching the games. Karen's son, an advanced player, started the game by moving with 2 hands. This is a big no-no. You must move and press your clock with the same hand. So I paused his clock, declared the foul, issued a warning, and then let the game continue. Karen was almost already snarling from the spectator seating across the room. Literally 1 move later, I have to deduct 5 minutes from the son's total 30 for doing the same thing I warned him about 1 move before. Then again, this time for 10 minutes after about 2 minutes. If he did it again, now with 15 of his 30 minutes deducted, he would be forfeited. I made that very clear and he finally got the hint. Somehow, Karen managed to hold her tongue this long when she starts talking to her son in the middle of the game in another language. This is wrong for her to do on so many levels. Even if she was speaking English and I was able to understand whether or not what she was saying was innocent or not, it would be wrong. Her talking at all is wrong. I had to assume the worst, not knowing what she said, and went up to her. Ma'am, you can't be speaking to your son during the game. That's against the rules. Realistically, he could get in trouble for that. This is your warning. If you talk to him again, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the tournament hall. I don't want to punish your son for your actions.
I was just telling him to wipe his nose. What is your deal?
Ma'am, that's not acceptable to do during a rated chess game. You can tell him after the game.
You know, it really feels like you're targeting my son.
I haven't spotted improper play from any other players. The exact same action will be taken if I do.
There is no way my son is playing improperly.
I'm not going to argue with you about it right now. There are 8 games in this section and I need to focus on all of them.
Okay then,
she said smugly. Another minute later, Karen starts talking to her son again, and I go back to her. I told you before, you are not allowed to be talking to your son during the game.
Okay, and?
Please make your way out of the tournament room now. There are snacks and drinks just outside, and your son will update you on the result of his match when he finishes it.
What?
Please leave the tournament room.
You have no authority to tell me to do that.
Then go and speak to the chief tournament director or the organizer.
Okay, we'll see what they think about your ethics.
I just go back to what I'm doing. I had already been good friends with the chief tournament director for several years and had worked with him before. I knew this Karen thought,
oh, it's my word against a teenager,
and that she was going to get her way, but really it was her word against mine, and my word was very well trusted for good reasons. None of us had seen Karen before this tournament that I could think of, and she already hadn't been one for first impressions. Karen did not return to the tournament room. First off, the kid is obviously overclassed and not going to get too far if he's playing chess with 2 hands right off the bat and can't even get the memo after the first mistake. The Karen, on the other hand, just another bad example from that entire family. It's pretty rough to see. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you enjoyed the stories today, let me know which one was your personal favorite and why in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, please like this video and subscribe and turn notifications on because anything you do helps this channel grow so much more. So no matter what you do, whether it was just watching the video, liking, subscribing, thank you all so very much for supporting me right here on the Storytime channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day and I'll see you all next time right here.